Okay, I'm still trying to figure out the whole 3-to-1, why Ecclesiastes was requested over all other books in the Bible. And I'm kind of wondering if I should be concerned for a few of you out there. Let's get into it.
Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, "Look, this is something new"? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time. No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them.
It is the most cynical book in the Bible. It's the whole tone of cynicism that almost got this book left out of the Bible. So back in the first century, a group of rabbis came together to call together the scriptures that were going to be later called what we call the Hebrew Scriptures or the Old Testament. And they were split on whether to include the book that we know now as Ecclesiastes. And yet for people who are just killing themselves, striving to get ahead at all costs, who think that everything depends on just you, maybe Ecclesiastes is just what you need. Maybe it has a message for those people who look at all the craziness in our world, all the craziness in our culture, and they just say, it's just too much. This morning we're going to just take a look at the first couple chapters of this book. It's a short thing. You can read it in an hour or so in the afternoon. It's not that long of a book. But we're going to look at just the first couple chapters. And it was written by an older guy. And we're going to get into more of his secret identity a little bit on Father's Day. But his advice was to help kind of well-to-do, educated young men. He wanted them to benefit from his life's experience, from what he had seen. He wrote,
"When I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom, and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what has already been done? I say that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. The wise have eyes in their heads, while the fool walks in the darkness."
Okay, so for just a moment, the older guy flirts with the idea that maybe wisdom, a light on the path of this life, has merit.
But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. Then I said to myself, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? I said to myself, this too is meaningless, for the wise, like the fool, will not be long remembered. The days have already come when both have been forgotten. Like the fool, the wise too must die. So I hated life, because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind.
So if it's all meaningless, why write? Why not let these young men figure out for themselves that, yes, they're all going to die. We're all food for worms in the circle of life. Now, every Ash Wednesday, we do have Drive-By Ash Wednesday out here on the Circle Drive. And I stand outside in the cold, and I remind people as they drive, and I put the ashes on their forehead. I remind people about the truth of their existence. And I start it this way. From dust you were created, and to dust you shall return. It's the message of baptism, too. Don't you know that we were all baptized into Christ Jesus? We're baptized into his death. Therefore, we were buried together with him through his baptism into death. Because every mortal, every person will die. And if there is going to be any hope in resurrection, if that word even has meaning, then something, someone, everyone must die. Only then can we live anew. So why bother with this life? Why bother with all the stuff that people fuss about? Jobs, squabbles with people, friendships even. Will any of it matter in 1,000 years? Carrie tells me this when I'm fussing about stuff. She'll say, well, does this really matter in the light of eternity? How many things do? Few people will remember the presidents, let alone me and you. And we come and we talk about being created for a purpose, that everyone matters. Just what I told those kids, and I wasn't lying to them, I promised you. That life has meaning. And this book, 3-1, you selected it, 3-1. It says no. Everything is meaningless.
What do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? All their days their work is grief and pain. Even at night their minds do not rest. This too is meaningless. A person can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil. This too I see is from the hand of God. For without God, who can eat or find enjoyment? To the person who pleases God, that one is given wisdom, knowledge, and joy. But to the sinner he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, a chasing after the wind.
Maybe we all need a teacher to remind us that we are mortal. God has given us a chance for wisdom, knowledge, and yes, love and joy.
Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times, but I don't think you've really looked at them. They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it?
You can waste so much time worrying about, striving for tomorrow, fussing about your regrets from yesterday. You can spend so much time doing that you don't enjoy the life that you have. This moment. A person can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their own toil in this moment. This too is from the hand of God. So many people are caught up looking for the good life, whatever that is, and the stuff that goes with it, when maybe what they should be concerned about is a good life. Simple and yet profound things, like a glass of wine, baseball maybe, someone to love. What makes your life extraordinary is not being remembered. It's not your job. It's not your accomplishments. It's living each moment passionately and loving faithfully and finding satisfaction with what you have. You see, on Ash Wednesday, when I'm out there in the circle drive, as I remind people of their mortality, and I say, from dust you were created, and to dust you will return. That's just the beginning. The rest of what I say is, it's what you do with the days that you have that matters so much. If you can take some wisdom from that, then you have heard a true word from God today.